Yeah. I'll be back. What's on you? Mike is hot.
Mike is hot.
Mike.
All right, don't say nothing crazy. Don't say like, oh, I'm running for city council.
I know, right?
I'm running for Senate.
Might come back on.
Might come back on you. All right. Producer, you ready?
Sit back.
All right. Welcome back, my peoples. You're coming to another episode of Three Roles
And one mission.
and my one mission: Dad,
Lover.
Provider. All right, so we're here to talk about many things today, but we're gonna talk about responsibility. But let me back up for a second. Do we have the bowl of questions, the mason jar questions today?
I got one. Instead of just, doing the thing, I just got one out the top that I'm gonna share with you.
Okay.
Your thoughts on, and this is what we call jar conversations, right? So just
Mason jar, by the way.
yeah, Mason jar. Hey, cause they're a staple, right, for us coming up. That Mason jar.
Yep.
But just random phrases, thoughts that was passed down year after year. But you remember hearing "nice guys finish last"?
Yes, I do.
Your thoughts on that, or you want me to start?
I'll let you start this time, and then I can be the bearer of good news.
Oh, well, when I think about nice guys finishing last, I probably should not be thinking about it in this perspective, but I'm thinking about relationships and just being that nice kid coming out of high school, coming out of high school, opening doors, yes ma'am, no ma'am. And when I say opening doors for young ladies, talking to them in a nice, curated way. Right? And in doing that, it was always kind of like, he is so nice, but I wouldn't talk to him.
Yeah, that's curving.
Yeah, it's curving. He's like my brother. Just friend zone every time. And so, that switched for me at a certain point in my college career, I'd say. And when that switched and I wasn't such a nice guy, all of a sudden I became more attractive overall.
But was it really more attractive, or?
That's how I felt.
No.
I felt like I wasn't being friend zoned as often as I was when I was being what I was taught. I was taught to be nice. I was taught to be manly. I was taught
Have empathy.
to treat people with respect, right? And when I stopped doing that, even though I feel like to some degree I always treat them with respect, I wasn't calling nobody out their name. I wasn't hitting on nobody. I wasn't verbally abusive, but I wasn't mindful per se, or didn't try to be mindful, which we'll get into later, but I wasn't trying to be mindful.
But I knew you through college. Yeah. I think saying that you wasn't mindful wasn't true, because you was honest on where things were going to be, where things are at.
I was honest to a degree. I admitted the truth on a lot of stuff.
So mission is a lie by.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So what they call it? Lie by.
Just, yeah.
I don't know the exact phrase of it, but yeah, I admitted stuff on purpose.
Okay.
A lot of times. So what you think? Nice guys finish last?
But you never came to a conclusion. You was like, do they finish last, or do they prevail when it comes to it?
I don't know. When I say I don't know, obviously they don't. I don't think they finish last. I do think they are. They're giving things after the fact.
Yeah.
It takes a while for people realize
To blossom.
realize their value or what they bring to the table, because they're not out front, because they're not pushing themselves and their agenda respectfully, whether it's career-wise, whether it's in a relationship. Hey, even in relationships, like, if you're nice and some other guy is being aggressive, you're not going to be that same aggressive person. So she is going to see this person and that person before she sees you. So you might not finish last, but it's going to take individual or individuals time before they see your value.
Okay. So you basically saying it's a marathon, not a sprint.
Yes, absolutely.
It's like coming out of the box. Yes, you can be respectful and always maintain some respect going through. No, I don't think nice guys finish last in the long run. Nice guys feel like they're finishing last throughout their journey,
Absolutely.
especially in your teens, your 20s, and sometimes even your 30s, until bam, it pops. And that person, if we're talking about relationship wise, dating wise, until young ladies realize, like, you know what, I've been treated like crap for so long. Why can't I find somebody that treats me well? Or that goes to that saying, it's like, all men are dogs. All men are not dogs. So it takes a while. It's a marathon for people to realize the person you saying is the nice guy. The niceness is a cover. Now is not a cover for a weakness. The niceness is a sincerity, and typically that nice guy is the most dependable, most productive. The person who gets they might have an aggressive counterpart over there that's getting all the attention, but that person who's aggressive plateaus at a certain point.
Yeah.
The nice guy is consistent and always working to improve themselves and not being loud or boisterous to prove that they're more of a man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Or more themselves. Sometimes the nice guy might not be the boss. He might be the person right under the boss, really making the major decisions. Because when that nice little guy leaves, things could crumble.
And that aggressive guy, the one who is pushing himself out there, that's the boss. He got the title.
Yeah.
But he's going to the nice guy for the answer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, no, nice guys don't finish last. If, in a precedence, nice guys don't finish last and they don't give up.
It's definitely a marathon. You got to continue to do your due diligence and work in it. Yeah. That was a goal. So what's up? What's up next?
So what's up next? So, I'm a slow reader, but we got these topics that we got to go through, right? But so setting examples for our children. The responsibility of setting examples for our children.
So the title within itself is about accountability.
Uh-huh.
So if we're looking at it from a dad perspective, because we always say dad, lover, provide.
Yeah.
So if we're looking at accountability from a dad perspective, what does that look like? And you said setting an example for your children. So the question,
Before it.
random question. Have you admitted to your children that you made a mistake?
I have admitted that I made a mistake.
That's accountability. To me, that's an example of accountability for your child.
Yeah, and I've apologized to my kids many times for mistakes that they probably sometimes didn't even know I made.
Right.
But I made,
Do you remember your parents? I don't remember my parents. Or me hitting my mic means I might not need to say this about my mama, but I don't remember, and I could be wrong. I'm talking about growing up. I don't mean like now. But growing up, I don't remember my mom or my dad saying that they made a mistake. And maybe they didn't feel like it at that moment, but I don't remember that saying they made a mistake about anything.
Yeah.
But I know as a person, I've done exactly what you said. Admitted to making a mistake that they may not even realize, but it was a mistake. And but you have to. If you don't say you made a mistake, then you risk your child, the way that your child views you, their perspective that they're taking is that I shouldn't admit to mistakes. That takes me to politicians and certain people, they don't admit making mistakes. And it's like,
let's just be honest, like the current administration.
yeah.
They're not going to say, I'm sorry,
I did this wrong.
they're quick to blame somebody else.
Yeah.
I find I made mistakes, and sometimes I do want to blame somebody else for the mistakes I've made, because that's the easiest route to go. But in order to show the skills and the practice of being responsible to our kids, being able to admit that I made a mistake, and I still have growth, I'm still growing, is a key component of growth for yourself, as well as showing your kids how to be a responsible human being, beyond an adult, but responsible human being.
So how does that affect your parenting style?
That able to, we probably have two totally different types of parents. Yeah, because I'm a little bit, for the most part, I might be lying to myself. I think I come off a little bit more laissez-faire, like, let's try it, let's see, I want you to learn. I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna strongly suggest and say it's not a good idea to go to certain places, because we know what happens at those places, and you just put yourself in a predicament for something to happen. If you decide to do it, yes, I'll be pissed off, but I'm not going to yell at you. If something happens, and if, pray to God, nothing major happens, something happens, we can talk through it and talk about how we made those decisions. And yes, you made a mistake. How can you prevent making the same type of mistake going forward? So we can get to later in life, don't consider it continue a pattern that's happened over and over again. But yeah, I think a little bit more, I am hands-on, but a little bit more hands-off when it comes to, I try to help them navigate a decision, but I'm not the final point when it comes to decision making.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I'm like what you said, laissez-faire. I'm not laissez-faire, which I assume like laid back.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not that laid. I'm not laid back. But I feel as if, or this is my goal. My goal is to set clear expectations of what I want or what I expect from you. My goal is to give you those clear expectations. Then, if you don't meet them, I want to be clear in that you didn't meet those expectations. When you didn't meet them, either this is the consequence for it, because I was right, or I was wrong in those clear expectations, and what you did was right. So say, for instance, I'm making this up. If I tell my child my clear expectations is for you to make all A's, for you to be able to go to college, and I not have to pay for it, but you end up making A's and C's, and I still don't have to pay for it, I actually was wrong.
Were you wrong, or did they choose a program that suited them?
Wrong based on the fact that my clear expectations was the only reason for you making this A's for you to get this college. And that's if I presented it in such a way. Now, if I didn't present it in that way and I said, hey, you need to make these A's for the scholarship, but also because you can learn, then I'm good to go, right? But if I presented in just that way of getting a scholarship, then I was wrong to be getting a scholarship. Obviously,
there's many different ways.
But
you can also preface that an academic scholarship.
Yeah. But also, one of the things I want to say too is with this expectations things, right? I kind of lost my train of thought. Giving them that expectation. Dang, I forgot my train of thought.
You're talking about giving expectations, because you're not laissez. You consider yourself be laissez, but giving expectation is setting standard.
Right. If you don't meet my expectations, I want you to acknowledge, okay, I didn't meet it for what reason. And that's accepting responsibility. Did I not meet it because I didn't want to meet it? Did I not meet it because I couldn't quite get there? I did work towards, but I couldn't get it. Like, you gotta know the truth. the reason you got to know the truth is so that if I didn't meet it because I didn't want to, then that means the talent is there. Like, that means I could have did my schoolwork. I could have got these A's, but I chose not to. Or did I not meet it because I was trying my hardest and I couldn't get the A? All right, then let's see why you couldn't get the A. Because if we don't know that, then we don't know. It could have been a disability there. It could have been reading or something. You said earlier, joking earlier about a slow reader. Like, I've been a slow reader. Yeah. And I learned how to speed up in order for me to get more and digest more information faster. But I was real adamant about, if you don't meet my expectation, why is that? That is the accountability piece. That's the accepted responsibility. Instead of just saying, nah, such and such made me do it, or I couldn't.
Yeah. So, at the end of the day, we're kind of saying the same thing. I'm not saying there's no consequences. My approach to decision making goes a different way. Like, I could tell you and tell you what I want, but also depends on the age of the kid too. Like, if they're still if they're still under the age of 14, 15, where they can't really make full decisions, I will say this is what's going to happen, and and over time they know what the consequences are if they don't follow direction. But as they get older, given a little bit of agency to learn how to make some decisions, I would tell them, I'll talk to them, tell.
Wait, let me ask you. You say not tell.
But I would.
Wrong to tell?
Yeah, but that's why I said talk tell.
Because sometimes people nowadays, you say obedient, they get upset about being obedient.
No, this is what I want to say. This might get me in trouble. My friend is my kids are not my friends.
No,
my kid. You know what? When they turn 24, 25, we can be friends.
Now my baby, she my friend.
No, she ain't. Your baby is your wife. That's why she's your friend. But no, my kids are not my friends. We do friendly things. I'm better than a friend.
Yeah. Okay.
We're better than friends, because guess what? When your friend's not there, and you call me at 3:00 in the morning, I might not be able to get there, but I got your back. And I'm gonna be here as long as I'm on this earth. I'm always gonna be by your side.
Speaking of that, since we're talking about responsibility, right? You say I might not be able to get there. Do you hold them responsible in that moment? Like, I'm making up something. I'm gonna use my child. I don't want to speak nothing to existence. Let's say, I'm gonna say something not crazy, but let's say my child goes out knowing they got a low tire. So they go out, then
you told them like you can put the air in the tire, right?
I told them put the air in the tire. I told them sit down until you go buy you another tire. But no, you got a low tire, so now your tire done blew out, and you calling me for AAA. Call AAA. AAA ain't gonna get there till the morning. Right? I come, obviously, I'm gonna get up or take care of the situation. As I'm taking care of the situation, they get in the accommodate scene, then you hold them in that moment. What did I tell you?
Yeah.
Why did we do this?
Yeah.
Or do you wait until everything's resolved to say,
no.
All right, let's talk about it.
No. And because that
part of the responsibility.
That's part of the responsibility. Part of the responsibility is sometimes I drop the ball on this. And not from my kids' perspective, but from relationships perspective, sometimes at work, getting feedback in the moment, giving the feedback in the moment is the best time to get the feedback. Because if I wait, your tire blew out, and you called me and like, Kurt, didn't I tell you not to go anywhere? You know what? Guess what? AAA canceled. You need to figure out how to get. You know what? You need to go ahead. How much money you got in your account? You need to go ahead and call somebody to come pick you up. Call one of your buddies.
You think we missing it?
Yeah, we do, because I go pick them up.
No. I'm talking about as societally, if that's a word. Societally. Are we missing it? Like in that you said, which I think is crucial. In that moment, it's important to speak that right thing.
Yeah, we are missing in society because I'm generalizing. People are scared to offend people.
Even our own kids.
Even our own kids, like, because Because, like I said, my kids are not my friends. And
That's when. Well, I'm sorry for cutting you across, but when you say my kids are not my friends, that's when it's like, that's why I'm not your friend, because I don't care about offending you.
Yeah.
This is a time for you to hear this.
yeah, yes, I don't care about I don't care if your feelings get hurt, but I care enough for your feelings to get hurt. And we don't do it. I look at it some in my days as a leader and leading teams. Some of my best teams came when I gave feedback in the moment. Like I had some of my best thriving teams when I gave feedback in the moment and not waited a week or 2 weeks later. It's like when I see something happen, pulling it aside and not doing it in a way of embarrassing, even for my friend, for your friends. If something's not right, I need to tell you so it's not continually happening right then and there. Like you think, just imagine if you were in our household, like you were in our businesses, and or if you were leaders, how you ran our teams, your team, and people who have successful teams. If we went home and ran a house like our teams, and like being straightforward with our partner, right? It's like, no, we can't right now. Looking at the budget, we can't afford to do X, Y, and Z. It's just like, no. Let's see. Let me see what I can do. We can't afford this because this, and the other, because we're planning to do this. Or even with like kids, like, hey, you on social media way too long. Like your grades might not be suffering, but you got rings around your eyes, brother. Like you can't, your room look like God know what, the kitchen nasty.
But a part of that is it's hard to do, because with your team, like you were saying, I'm not your friend. I don't care about hurting your feelings, but I care enough to hurt your feelings.
Yeah.
When there's no emotional attachment, right, from the team perspective, right? But with this individual, we talking dad. So with my child, there's that emotional attachment there. I want you to enjoy.
So now, I'm gonna tell you something now.
I love you.
So this topic we're talking about, we skip the lover of the, I'm sorry, we kind of on the same topic of kind of talking to the same aspect as the being a provider, because what we're saying is, in order to provide for you emotionally and in a way to show responsibility, I have to give you these things, right? So giving you the truth in the moment, not 3 weeks later, it doesn't carry the same weight, because last time we supposed to meet up, you could have been like 45 minutes late, and I wait. The next time we get met up, you was on time. It's like, Kurt, remember last time we were supposed to get up and you was 45 minutes late, man?
You don't bring into the fact that I was late.
I said, no, it's an example. Like, but we carry the same way. Say, Kurt, last time we were supposed to meet up, you was 45 minutes late, and you was on time today. Or probably early. And I probably the one's late, and I'm trying to sidestep the fact that I'm late, but bringing something up from the past. And in your mind, in that mindset, when something happened and you bring it up later, you create an automatic defense on that from that person, because like, oh, you just mad at me, you just upset because you and your mom got in an argument, so you bringing up some small petty stuff that happened like 3 weeks ago. Why does it matter now? You didn't say nothing then.
But you bring up another interesting point about you're on the defense, right? And so I feel as if over time, when me and my kids, but me explaining to them or holding them to expectations and explaining why they didn't meet those expectations or why they did the things that they did, they do come off way more defensive in the beginning, early in their age, even going up as they get into high school. And then once they start coming out, well, for my kids particularly, once they start getting closer to that graduation time, the defense mechanism has less, and they're able to talk through. And when you said that, it's like, oh, it's an aha moment for me. When you are holding your child to accepting responsibility, holding them accountable, by the time they get to adulthood, they're able to respond to people who are holding them accountable without, the defense. Because I practice that at home. I practice that with mom. I practice that with dad. I practice that amongst my siblings. You said a key point that I really haven't brought to light until just.
Like, and you saying that I do that. Am I doing that right every day? No, dude. I still got growth. I'm still a twig, trying to grow to a full grown tree. I got many more generations to help get to that strong tree.
And sometimes, if somebody was to say they're doing it to the T, it's when there's love involved.
There could be some mistakes happen.
There's going to be some mistakes because you just want to love that person sometimes. Sometimes I know I need to do this or I need to say this. Even recently, I know there's certain, with my kids, there's certain stuff that means I was like, I love this more. Because once they leave, and nobody going to love them like you love them.
Nope. And then you're searching for, then they're searching, our daughters and sons searching for love, and what tends to happen, they go into search for that. They go into toxic relationships, and then you got to try to be super dad, and it's like you don't want to tell them to get out of the relationship, but you were trying to save them.
That's gonna be an episode for another day too.
But that's part of responsibility.
How to deal with
these toxic relationships. But teaching that responsibility, are they? And as we teach them teaching that responsibility through our working on our being responsible, how does that transgress to when it comes to education? Do we educate? Are we making sure our kids have been educated, or getting education?
But Chris, we got to go to the lover perspective. You done brought up a whole nother topic.
But we did talk about lover perspectives, and it wasn't as clear transition, but all these things we're talking about of teaching them and guiding them in those directions is all from love. Because like I said, I love you enough to hurt your feelings.
I get that, right? You said we kind of talked about it, but what about you brought up toxic relationships? So looking at it from a lover perspective, you and your wife, and my wife, are we teaching what I guess a healthy relationship would be opposite of a toxic, because of how we're dealing with conflict amongst each other, or how you said it earlier about like coming up with a thought process on budget, maybe.
Yeah.
Right? Are we sticking to the plan?
Do you want me to be honest? Not me. That you know what?
Conflict maybe.
Yeah.
But not all budget wise,
It all depends on the moment too. One thing that I think we should take from our parents from back in the day. I don't know about your house or my house. If our parents got in an argument or disagreement, it never happened in front of the kids.
Yeah, that was my experience. My mom and dad didn't argue. I don't remember the arguing at all. I remember one is happening where my mom was feeling away, and we could tell that she was feeling away by the way she was talking and going about business. And my dad was like, "Hey, let's go in the room." Yeah, they were in the room. Did not hear them argue. Didn't hear no bumping and fighting, none of that. No cussing, no yelling, none of that. And when they came out the room, mom was in a totally different attitude.
Everybody was on the court.
Everybody was good. And that's the part about, like, when you don't see it, you don't know what's happening. I don't know if he sweet talked her or it was, hey, let's talk this out to get to where we're going.
Yeah.
No matter what he did, though, it was successful. He or she did, it was successful because the rest of that day went really well.
Yeah.
I vividly remember that. And so my thought process, because going back to your point, was because I saw that, typically what I have done, me and her have done, we haven't really argued in front of the kids. It has been moments of argument. And there have been times where we argue, and I'm thinking the kids that heard it, and what happened? No, I ain't hear that. Well, we argue right here beside your room. My son's like,
I ain't heard that, or he's not admitting that he heard it. But I think
now,
but like
the little one,
you hear everything. But but in that situation, I think kind of taking part of what we learned from our parents, we do have to work things through in front of our kids as well. But the argument piece happens someplace else. Negotiate, like they call it argument. The negotiation piece happens outside the earshots of the kids. So when we have this conversation in front of the kids, we're working through whatever we need to work through, and we might not agree, but we can hit points together to teach our kids, because we still learning on how to properly do it, to teach our kids how to have a mature conversation.
And we can remix things, right?
Mm-hmm.
We can remix it to fit our relationship, to fit our individual families. What I really hate a lot of times is when we remix things, we come back and act like, oh, what we came from was oh so horrible. It wasn't horrible that I didn't see my parents not argue. I just didn't know what happened. Yeah, I would have liked to know what happened, but maybe I wasn't even ready for it at that time, if that makes sense.
So
it's not horrible what I came from.
Yeah, it's like, no, like from my memory, I had a enjoyable childhood, but a teaching moment, what you just said, like you didn't know it, but you would like to know. What if we came to a place of being honest with the conversations with our kids that we had with our partner?
Which
let's say this is the easy ones with like a financial issue. Instead of arguing in front of the kids about where this money's going, why does money, as we have our arguments someplace else, or a negotiation session somewhere else, let me get our frustration out. Let me come back in front of the kids, like say, you know what, Mom and I, we're having this is a difficult time right now when it comes to the finances, or whatever it might be. So, and we can have this conversation, three-way conversations, like we need some help. We want y'all to be part of on helping how we can get to the place where when you need a new pair of sneakers that you want, not need, but want, that we're not saying, oh, you need to wait. Like what ideas do you have, can y'all bring to the table to help pull our budget together? Like we already have a budget and our budget is tight. Like what are some ways that you guys can help us buy in to making sure we achieve this budget, and also have something left over for the things that we all want to do that sometimes we have to say no to.
What you're explaining is, to me, storybook. That's the perfect.
We will love it, but it's not gonna always happen. But how can we get close to having, like including our kids, in like, cause you said you wanted to know. Yeah. So like we're not going to give the full transcript of what happened in our argument or negotiation sessions, but we want to give some snippets. We're going to give you the Cliff Notes edit.
I'll tell you one thing that we do. We actually do this. So we try to have dinner every Sunday, and we try to sit around the table and have that dinner. Because typically, we'll have dinner outside of Sundays. We may be at the table, we might be in the kids might come get their food. It's just touch and go there. But on Sundays, we try to always sit down at the table, and it's usually my wife and I, and we have 4 kids, but my oldest son doesn't live with us. This is by another young lady. So the 3 kids between me and my wife, they're always there. We typically try to have a dinner, and we open it up for questions. Okay. If they don't have questions, then I'll come up with something, or she'll come up with something. It might be financial related, it might be budget related, and it might get to that point of transparency where we give them the Cliff Notes of something that has transpired either in marriage or something that we've done or experienced in our life. But with that being said, I would love, I don't know if I ever get to that point where we could give them the budget and say, hey, what's y'all input? I don't think they can.
No, like I think if we could get to that point, do we help them teach financial literacy? When we're talking about that budget, it's like, hey, this is where we at. These are the bills we paid. Your 9-year-old daughter, she's not right.
Yeah,
she's not gonna understand the full concept of everything you're saying, and your 16-year-old daughter is not gonna she's gonna understand more than your 9-year-old. Right. Your son should understand more than your daughter, your 16-year-old, which could be and might not be, but being honest about where things stand. Because as kids, they still ask for stuff, even if you have a negative $60 in your account.
Yeah. Yeah, they gonna still desire and want this, that, and the third. So, but from having that conversations and giving them the cliff notes is what I'm hearing you say. When it comes down to a lover perspective, that will allow us to, again, still set the example for our kids, but be able to communicate with them how to accept accountability within the relationship, right? Without falling into the blame game. But what about, you said we covered the provider perspective already.
But actually, as this conversation is going, it's like this conversation can go.
It can keep going.
Keep going. So we're gonna talk about being educated and we can talk about that later. We're gonna keep going on this question. So ask that question to me one more again time.
So with the provider perspective, right? We mentioned this in a previous episode about like work-life balance, and holding ourselves accountable. Gosh, I wish I had to remember what we said. Holding ourselves accountable. And you gave an example of like having fun moments outside of just going to work, coming back home, paying bills, and doing what you're supposed to do, feel like you're supposed to do, but having those fun moments. How do we hold ourselves accountable to work-life balance when it comes to your whole family, your wife and your kids? I say your whole family, but they're really two separate things, because you got to have the time with your wife
and that time with your kids. Because
you got to have time
for yourself and your kids. Because what you definitely have to have time as a provider. You definitely have to have time with your wife. Because guess what? If you want your marriage to work and survive, you got to put just as much energy it was to trying to get her to go on that first date with you.
Yeah, to keep.
Yeah. And one thing is, your kids, depends on however old your kids are before they leave the house. Your wife's going to be around, if God's willing, and you're going to be together in the same house longer than those kids been in the house. The kids are temporary. Like, what's temporary living in your house? You're going to always have a responsibility for them in many different ways. But
their presence, your home is
always temporary. But your presence with your spouse is longevity. And you don't want, like, when those kids leave the house, you don't want to be at a point where you have no identity and y'all can't even be together and you get a divorce. So that responsibility of showing your kids how they have that separation, and it's hard. And I'm not gonna say I do it all the time. I'm not saying I'm not gonna say I'm not perfect, but you have to set time, be it one day, a week. Don't wait once a month to do something, because it becomes a chore. Like, set aside time for and it doesn't always, you don't always have to go out and spend a whole bunch of money. So it might be like one day a week. It's like, hey, y'all might meet for lunch one day, or you might come home for lunch if you can, or
even with that,
or you might go play pickleball.
That's good. Yeah,
but
it hurt. Even when you say don't do it once a month, you know how easy it is to cancel. So if you only got to once a month and you cancel, then that means you don't wait 2 months
without doing something. And it's easy to put things on the back burner. Bless you.
So it's always good to be able to set more time so that you give yourself a chance to counsel and then still keep that continuity.
Yeah, but the counseling, if I had to counsel today, and you probably should make a commitment to yourselves in that relationship, that if our day is on Tuesday, what other day this week you're gonna do it? Or you cancel this Tuesday, next week that means Tuesday and Wednesday, or Tuesday and Thursday, baby, it's on and popping. You better be ready. If you cancel on me again, I'm gonna come out. I'm gonna send you a bill. So showing that's another way of showing responsibility to your kids on a healthy relationship. right? Because you talk about the toxicity. And then also planning time with the wife and the kids. And then if we have multiple kids, we need to be doing it individualized too.
Oh man, my wife gave me that task. I have not really. I've tried to start it, but I hadn't completed it all the way. Um, with multiple kids doing it individualized, giving this child a day, and we have set days, but rarely do we use them. That's how I kind of forced it.
Yeah.
But even with that, man, one last thing I want to say too, a work-life balance, right? If we don't create it, then we mess around and get sick. Then we get sick. Then we can't provide.
No.
We can't provide. Now we can't have the optimal living that we want to have because we're not able to take this money that we're actually able to get and apply it to stuff that we like.
Yeah.
Like it's a domino effect. Like everything, I always say, everything affects everything. I got that from one of your favorite artists, Lauren
Hill.
Everything affects everything. Absolutely. Affects everything. Chris, I think we can keep going on and on, right?
Like, let's finish talking about this topic, because you were talking about responsibility with the family, right? And and I touched back on how we treat our spouse,
Hey.
and making time for our spouse, and as well as making time for our nuclear family, can translate in responsible. They're having a responsible relationship when they leave the house, and that responsible relationship can be with many things besides another person. That's the responsibility over
with
themselves. Because that's the biggest important, which goes back to saying that we also need to be responsible on how we take care of ourselves and how we make sure we're entertained as well. Because let's not say entertained, but how are we able to take a break and separate from everything that's going around with us. Because for us to be, and our spouse, anybody, to be productive in a relationship, be productive and responsible in a relationship, we have to be able to unwind. And I think we had in one of our episodes, we talked about hobbies, or what do you do for your time relief. And saying I drink or smoke a cigar, I go to the bar and drink or smoke a cigar. I'm not a therapist. Those are not the best ways.
To me, it's not. It's putting you're self-medicating.
Yeah, you're creating a crutch. I mean, we don't want to create a crutch. Like, even though exercise can be a crutch too, but like it's a little bit healthier. Like you can get the same high and the same energy. Similar.
Yes, you can. You put in things when you're going to have that cigar, you're having a drink, you're adding something to your body in order to relax. And that thing that you're adding to your body is changing the chemistry within your body. As opposed to you're doing more natural things, like just getting inside, like going to exercise, which, to your point, increases your endorphins, or it gives you the things that your body actually needs in order for you to be healthy and successful. But I don't know all the actual, the real words that I need to use at this very moment. But definitely doing self-care instead of self-medication is a whole lot better. And that's not to say that doing those things don't serve its purpose, but it's not something that you can sustain over a long period of time without it being detrimental to you.
Yeah.
You going hiking, I guess if you went hiking and never went back home,
that's a different story.
That could be hurtful. But you're doing that as often as you going to the bar ain't gonna hurt you the same way.
No, like there are dangers of doing many things, but it's a positive way to clear your mind and be healthy.
Yeah. But yeah, and then what's funny though is that we find it so easy to go light up that cigar or light up.
Put a drink to our mouth.
Yeah. But it's so hard to take 20 minutes to go for a run, or it takes 30 minutes to go
just for a brisk walk.
Yeah, just out in the sun. Even on the weather that we got today, it's a lot better than the lights that we will have just coming
That's
inside
outside.
our house.
You're still getting vitamin D. The sun is still shining through that.
I don't think people realize that a lot. Being outside is um, so beneficial to us. And like light and connection.
Yep.
The social connections that we have, that's from our kids, from our partner, or from our friends. Those things are so beneficial to us. I wish I had the more clinical terms for it. There was a lady, I think it's Virginia Santier, that said you need 5 hugs a day. Well, it might not be actually 5 or 8 hugs, but that connection, human connection that you get from those hugs is beneficial to you.
Yeah.
And getting you through bad times, allow you to be resilient, and allow you to overcome anxiety or depression.
Yeah. So
See, you get me in my bag now.
you know what? Just one thing we do. I'm gonna say this real quick. That's how, and we can expand on this conversation once again. I think next time we record this podcast, we start with talking about responsibility, and intertwine it too, because I want to talk about being educated, right?
Right.
And intertwine that responsibility in education as well. But one thing we don't do is talk about what we do in these podcasts. It's like we're here talking, having conversations on a weekly basis, but no one really knows what Kervin Searles' hustle is. You know what Kervin Searles' profession is.
I am a dad,
And they already know we're dad. They already know we're the husband.
but the provider part comes from what I do to provide is I do therapy to provide. So mental health, well-being,
What's the name of it?
gravity counseling group is the practice that I own that provides mental health counseling, individual, family, and couples counseling. So that's my hustle. That's my hustle. That's what I invest my time into from day to day.
All right. So
Yours.
I'm just a lonely old man, living paycheck to paycheck.
We all like to some degree.
So what I do full time, day to day, but I'm a professional bartender. I'm not gonna call myself a mixologist, but I do own a business. I do
Why not?
because I just don't. But I do own a business where I do private bartender catering. I do own a beer brand, and we're going to be launching soon. At the end of the day, I'm an entrepreneur, and my business is around hospitality when it comes to adult beverages and non-adult beverages and food. I'm out to make people happy from an experience with libation and cuisine.
Yeah, I know we got to get out of here, but you know one thing that irks me? When you tell what you do, people connect that to entrepreneurship. When I tell what I do, they don't connect it to entrepreneurship. It's just like, oh, you helping people. Which I am, but it's entrepreneurial too. Like, I have the same income and expenses. I have to know, branding, I have to do that the same way you have to brand, even though yours is cooler than mine. But I still have to do all the same things that you have to do. I have to do those. But that's just one of the things.
But I think one episode we should talk about the nature of being entrepreneurs and some successes we've had or have, and the struggles about being an entrepreneur.
Yeah, okay.
And it's not for everybody.
Nah, definitely not for the lighthearted. All right, Chris, so we did way more than what we would normally do. So we got to divide this up into 2.
Yeah, that's true. But so we're going to say peace out. Don't forget to connect with us on all our socials. 3 roles, 1 mission. Like our YouTube channel. Follow our YouTube channel. Click on the video. Watch the video. Don't watch it in a stream of videos because we don't know if you actually watched it.
Share your thoughts on accountability and responsibility.
Yeah.
Some of the things that we've said today.
And also reach out to us with topics you would like to hear. And also be on the lookout. We might be doing a live recording one day, or at a destination we'll record it and then rebroadcast it. But meet the guys in front of the camera, and you also meet the guy behind the camera as well. You might want to use his services too. you will want to use the services too, because the brother's tight.
Yeah.
Look out.
That would be Laverne Media.
That's right, Laverne Media.
Shout out to Laverne Media, who's our producer and production.
And hopefully he tags himself in credits at the end. You know, these producer credits. He making all that no money, but
He make a producer money.
that's right. So,
And shout out to mom for watching, because somebody's mom watching.
yeah,
My mom watching, his mom watching. Shout out to our wives for watching and us out.
and then bringing it back to us, like, we doing that all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like, once again, follows on all the socials. 3 Roles, 1 Mission, fan base, YouTube, and all the others. Peace out.